Hi, Heather.
Hi, Krista.
Oh man. We I feel like we may venture even more into our galaxy brain today a little bit just based on what we're hoping to get into, but I think that's our wheelhouse, so I'm not going to
Yeah,
apologize for that.
yeah, we may. You never know. We're a little primed too. We just came off a
Little
really,
primed. It's
really
true.
beautiful call, a little
Yeah.
beautiful conversation.
Yeah. I'm excited that we're thinking about expanding that and offering a little more about that. But we'll get into that later on
Yeah.
in our chat, I think. What we wanted to talk about is because you and I, our favorite supervillain is capitalism, specifically patriarchal surveillance capitalism, which we are very unhappy with. Uh, and
Predatory
sort of
capitalism. There's all kinds of
predatory,
adjectives we can
whatever,
put in front of
yeah,
that. Yeah.
whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
whatever system we have sort of slid into in particularly in North America, and in other parts of the world too. But just this valuing of profit and consumption and individualism over care and humanity and kinship with the greater world. Um, so yeah, so we talk a lot about this thing that we're against, but what we want to start talking more about is what we are for and what we envision as the thing that could happen next, or the systems that could help us move beyond this, capitalism, which I often describe as an Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail. And at this point, it does very much feel like that snake is getting very close to its own head.
Hmm.
Like there's not much left. There's not much left. The
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
can't go on the way it's been going on. Um, so yeah, we have so many thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Whether we can compile them neatly into something that's going to be coherent is up for debate, but we'll see. Maybe something will emerge. So tell me about what you envision when you envision what it is that you are for, economically, politically, socially, however you want to frame that.
Yeah. Yeah, this came up in our conversation last week. We were chatting about like we've been trying to frame our business, that the Center for Holding Space, somehow as we often talk about it being anti-capitalist, but at the same time, you and I are both like, but let's not position ourselves against something. Let's position ourselves for something. And capitalism is a system that's going to have to face some kind of collapse. We know that.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I mean, it's worth critiquing because, like you say, it is causing a lot of harm, a lot of
Mhm.
our planet can't survive
Yeah.
capitalism's unchecked growth, and it needs unchecked growth to stay alive as a system.
Yeah.
Um, so, but if we turn away from that and turn our energy quite intentionally away from that, because you can spend your life fighting something, or you can, and it's necessary, but also we want to spend our energy building something and
Yeah.
building our alternatives and creating spaces where we are pro something. And so I think, and we've been already chatting about this a few times. It's like, what is it that we are for? If we're anti-capitalism, what are we pro? And it starts with humanity. We're pro-humanity, that we are for putting people before profit. We are for
Yeah.
putting care before consumption. We are for sometimes like making a sacrifice to our profit in order that there be collective care. So we
Yeah.
are for, and what I keep turning to, and we've had conversations about this in the past, but one of the places I keep turning back to is the idea of kinship, and rooted in, I was largely inspired when I first started thinking and talking about this by Robin Wall Kimmerer's work, and she
Mhm.
talks about how nature teaches us a circular economy of
Yes.
collective care, that we are all responsible for both putting something into the circular economy and taking what we need out. So it is a reciprocal, and it's very relational. It's very
Yeah.
much we are in this as beings who are part of the ecosystem, We are not extractive. We are not like resource driven in terms of like diminishing the value of any other part of the ecosystem so that we can extract maximum resources, hoard
Yeah.
resources. It's more if we don't need a resource, we don't take it. If somebody else needs it more than we need it, we consider giving it up or making it available to everybody. And she talks about the mutual thriving of a circular
Mhm.
economy. And that's a position of care and collective care. And I believe it's a position of joy and collective healing and meaning making and one of the things I think it is matriarchal because in the matriarchy,
Yeah.
and we've done episodes like this in the past where we talked about matriarchy in particular. In the matriarchy, it's a care economy where children are the rights of children are prioritized. It's not about women becoming leaders instead of men. That's not what the matriarchy is.
No.
It's about being in a culture of valuing all people in the culture and not being extractive and not being hierarchical the way a
Yeah.
patriarchal culture is or a colonialist culture. So it requires us to do that decolonization work to be in kinship, in right relationship, in the collective in a more conscious way. And I think that's what you and I really feel, passionate about in our work at the Center for Holding Space. Like holding space is about being in those relationships. It's about valuing all people and not just people. Like we're clear on the kinship as beyond humanity. It's a kinship with all living beings, all beings. So that's, yeah, I think we're really trying to root our work in what needs to grow out of the dying of the capitalist project. And let's
Yeah.
be clear, it is a project. It's not
Hmm.
something that's existed throughout history. It's something that was built and created and took shape and started controlling our cultures in a really significant way, but it can die just like any other
Hmm.
system or any other project or any other, thing that humans have created. It can shrink away and die and be replaced by something else. And so more and more, this is what people in this kind of work are talking about. It's like, what do we want to grow? What do we want to put in the center to focus our energy on?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where we want to live. And we are doing this, and you and I, in our particular story, we are doing this from a place of deep frustration over the capitalist project, partly because we have been under the weight of the
Yeah.
capitalist burden now since we created the Center for Holding Space because we have a debt to a bank. And it feels like right from the start, it felt like a predatory relationship and
Yeah.
a very complicated, frustrating one. It's taught us a lot of lessons about what that is all about and what we don't want to be.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we have to pay the bills, or,
Yeah.
we're still in that capitalist system. So, yeah, it's come with a lot of soul searching for us and reflection and intention setting and longing, I think, in our evolution.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's come also sort of in the height of, because of, to some extent, social media. I mean, that's how we got our work out there, how we still get our work out there in a lot of ways. I've made use of all of these things. We still make use of a lot of these
Yeah,
things that, yeah, that have, yeah, that are not great value systems and foundations, or things
yeah,
that are sort of rub up against our own values, right? So we're constantly in this state of friction between the world we live in and the world we would like to help birth, that we would like to help
yeah,
come to being. And yeah, how can you live in that tension and maintain your integrity? um and we struggle with that all the time. And I think, we joke about it, but part of the evidence of us trying to keep our integrity has been that, yeah, we're not super rich. We have not resorted to predatory marketing. We have not resorted to being super clickbaity or rage baiting and things like that. Like we've been really intentional about avoiding some of that stuff because it's not in line with who we are. Um,
Hmm.
and I think our desire is for, yeah, for our culture, for humans as a whole to grow up, truly, to grow
Yeah.
up into a more mature kind of way of being in the world, one that puts aside its need to, you know, seek love through status or through wealth or whatever the markers of success capitalism has deemed to be the things to achieve, because we are seeing people who have those things, that status, that wealth, that the power, and none of them look happy. Like none of them look
Yeah.
content. They still seem like they are lacking and still striving. Like at what point do they finally get to go, oh, okay, I've made it? There
Yeah.
doesn't, because
No.
even at $1 trillion, somehow that's still not enough. And it's really kind of sad and kind of
Yeah.
heartbreaking to see that, you can have that wealth and status, but not have the maturity to be able to be in good relationship with other people, with the world around you, so that you have a kind of contentment that allows you to let go of the need to continue to acquire
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. I remember several years ago, actually not that long ago, but a few years ago, I had kind of an aha moment about my
Mm,
relationship with social media, and I suddenly realized I'm in a codependent trauma bond with social
yeah,
media.
I remember
It,
that.
and in a trauma bond, it comes from cult literature, but also
Yep.
abusive relationship, codependent kind of
Dynamic.
abuse of marriages or any place where there's
Hmm.
been abuse happening. In a trauma bond, you are bonded to something that is both a source of your security and also your harm.
Yep.
So the abuser is, you see it on as one part of your brain sees it, that's my security. I cannot leave this
Yep.
person because it's my security. And at the same time, that person is causing me harm. So my nervous
Yep.
system is constantly dysregulated in that
Yep.
relationship. I cannot settle. And I
No.
feel like all of us, just like social media was that for me, because I had to put myself out there, and yet I felt like I was sometimes being abused online.
Hmm.
And the social media platforms are predatory, kind of abusive platforms, and yet I had to be attached to it because I had to promote my business there. It was one of the only ways to get the word
Yep.
out there. So it was this tension that was always dysregulating my nervous system, but I couldn't choose to leave it. And I remember
Right.
that, having that feeling when I ended my marriage too. It's like,
Oh,
this feels like my security, and how can I leave it? But at the same time, I know it's causing me harm.
I
And
can't stay.
I feel like we're all in that relationship with the capitalist system.
Huh?
And
Yes.
and when you talk about the billionaires and now the trillionaires, when you talk about their unhappiness and what they're trying to aspire to, is it's hard to even imagine, like, why do you need another $1 billion? Like, why,
Yeah.
what is it you're trying to attain or aspire
Hmm.
to? And but I think that there is at a subconscious level, they're so dysregulated by having been in this long-term predatory relationship with the capitalist system that they don't know what it's like to just be at peace, or to
Hmm.
be in a healthy relationship with a community,
Hmm.
with people group, with in a kinship relationship. And
Totally.
and I think, they're kind of the epitome of this, but all of us are in that constantly. And you and I have been in that for the last 6 years. It's like
Are in it.
we
Yeah.
just we're so tired of this, some debt that we accrued and the owing into the capitalist system. But at the same time, we love our work and it's so meaningful, and we don't, and
And we couldn't have done it without that going into that debt to some extent. You
oh,
know what
and
I mean? Like,
it feels so heartbreaking that we have
yeah.
let an abusive partner cause us so much harm. The capitalist system is like an abusive partner that
Hmm.
continuously harms us. and yet we're entangled and meshed with it.
Yep. It's got all the hallmarks of an abuser. I mean, it isolates us, it
Yeah.
makes us suspicious of each other. It, yeah, because, and I think I talked about this in the blog, the post I did a few weeks ago, where, COVID really sort of helped us see that we could do mutual aid and we could be there and support each other in hard times. And I think that's part of the reason why things have kind of gone off the rails a little bit, because the capitalist system went, oh shit, we can't let them know that, because we can't exist if they start to see that they can help each
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, because the abuser is always going to think of a new tactic to
Yeah,
keep you attached
always.
and keep you dependent on them, and
Yeah.
so they're going to dangle carrots, and they're going to, at the same time
Love
as they're going to
bomb.
offer more threats about your
Yep.
insecurity and fear tactics and
Yeah.
etc. And they're going to, do things like rally the government for new policies that keep you trapped in
Yep.
your poverty,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to
Come up with
threaten.
last minute things on trade deals
Oh,
that
yeah,
strip you of your
exactly.
culture and autonomy.
Says the Canadians. Yeah, yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. They have a little bit of bitterness about being the abused partner in that relationship.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
And at the same time, you and I are so stubborn about this, and it's part of the reason, like a year and a half ago, I got off social media because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I am not going to stay. And just like I left my marriage, I'm like, I cannot stay a healthy person in such an unhealthy
Yeah.
relationship. And I've come back partly because I've gotten better at staying at arm's length from it, and wanting to put something of value and beauty and purpose into what is the gathering space, and that's
Yeah.
the online gathering space. And so
Where the people are.
I've kind of intentionally held myself at arm's length, but still putting something into the into the mix. And
Yeah.
I feel like that with capitalism in a way too. Like you and I we're still attached to it, and we still have to play into it. But at the same time, we're like, no, we're being stubborn here. We're not charging top dollar for our programs. We're
No.
always creating options for people who don't have the financial resources. We're creating programs where it's pay what you can,
Yep.
and we're receiving some support sometimes from people who have the financial resources to, pay something into
Keep
the
going.
circular economy of our work. And so we're finding kind of subversive ways to still hang on to our values, even while we're still attached to a broken system.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of the necessary evil, as it were, of like hospicing a dying system that still has too much control while envisioning something new. And so
Yeah.
we're so determined, despite the times that we get into despair and the many times we sit here and rant because it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
We are so hanging on to the beauty
Yeah.
of something different, and the purpose behind growing beautiful things. It's like planting a garden while the world is burning, and
Hmm.
doing something that has meaning, that gives people a place to come to. And I think that's where we kind of wanted to go next in this conversation, is talking a little bit about how we want to we're going to be building some new spaces
Hmm.
where people can simply gather and be
Yeah.
together in this kind of morass of this
Yeah.
current liminality that we're in, and this destabilizing time where there's systems that will need to die and stuff. We need to find healthy ways to gather and be in
Hmm.
connection and purposeful conversation, and
Yeah.
sometimes grief and sometimes fear and sometimes joy. And so yeah, we're doing the thing. We're stubborn.
We are doing the thing.
Stubbornly
We
doing the
are.
thing.
And honestly, as you keep talking, I keep thinking about your nurse trees. And I'm like, we're the little tree growing off the nurse tree is what we're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the old system had its day, served its purpose, and now new things need to grow out of it. And
yeah,
yeah, we're still attached to it for sure, but that doesn't mean that the new thing isn't still going to be new, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
and isn't still going to be beautiful. And yeah, I'm super excited about the thought of offering more gathering spaces, because the one thing that we're going to have left is each other. And we need practice on being together and having conversations and being able to talk about hard stuff and being able to disagree and to hold those conversations well, so that, yeah, we can move forward together, even if we don't agree about everything, even if, it makes us uncomfortable sometimes. I often go back to that tweet I heard about someone saying that the price of community is irritation or annoyance. And it's
Yeah.
kind of true, but we need
Uh-huh.
spaces where we can practice
Yeah.
feeling that and not running away,
Yeah.
feeling that and addressing it, feeling it and working through it together. And that's something I feel like we are uniquely equipped for at the
Yeah.
Center for Holding Space. This is what we
Yeah.
do. This is how we hold spaces. This is where you can have practice with people from all over the world who have
Yeah.
very different experiences, to just come and be together and learn from each
Yeah.
other.
Well, and I really believe that if you're going to disrupt the hierarchical systems, patriarchy, capitalism, that are
Yeah.
very much rooted in a hierarchical paradigm where, you climb
Yeah.
ladders to gain status, etc. If you're going to disrupt that and you're going to evolve something new, you need to first learn how to be in more level spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's
Yeah.
what one of the things that Circle offers. Like when we
Yeah.
are really trying our best to be in conversations that have
Yeah.
less of the hierarchy, that bring in all the voices and the diversity and
Yeah.
create opportunities for people to see themselves differently in the circle too.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're going to have to, that's the other really challenging part, is to deconstruct our belief systems around things like
Yeah.
patriarchy is massive work, because
It's
we are
huge.
so indoctrinated into that as
Ooh,
a belief system that we don't even notice how often it's popping up in our
no,
consciousness, or how much it's
no,
directing our choices in our lives. And so we
no.
need spaces like we're trying to create where we can be together and reimagine ourselves
Yeah.
into a new system. We're imagining a new system, but we're really reimagining ourselves in that system too.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, what do they say about using the master's tools to build I don't know, tear
Destroy
down
the
the
master's
master's
house.
house?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, we need new tools. We need to be
Yeah.
different. We need to have different visions. We need to have different like
Yeah.
dreams of what's possible.
Yes.
And that means deconstructing and like tearing down the way we once
Totally.
imagined ourselves to be. And that's a lot of work, and
It
needs
is.
a well-held space to.
It is. It is. I mean, the fact is that you and I, we're maybe a little further along in our deconstruction of some of this stuff, but like this is still pretty new for both of us, you know? Um, so yeah, it's new work, it's exciting work, coming up with new tools, um, and rejigging our values and letting go of the carrot, the invisible carrot of capitalism, where one day we'll all be rich. But really, I think what we all want one day is to all thrive.
Yeah.
And capitalism has told us that you only thrive with wealth, status, and power. And that's not true. That's
Oh,
not the end of the story.
no.
It's not the only story.
Yeah. No, there is something else possible. There's something
Mm-hmm.
else that will actually be much healthier for our nervous
Mm-hmm.
systems. And that feels
Yeah.
so transformative to me. If I
Yeah.
imagine myself in in calm state of being in a world that does not intentionally activate me, and it that's kind of magical. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you can
Yep.
you can say we're guilty of magical thinking, but you kind of have to be to imagine something that's different than what we have.
Totally. Totally. And I don't think it's impossible. Like we humans came up with these other systems. There's
Yeah,
no reason we can't come up with another one. And
exactly.
also, we as much as we hate change, we are capable of changing things fairly quickly when we need
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
So so yeah, I think it's kind of exciting. And
yeah,
I think too, if we can move away from systems that are extractive and don't center care, I think all of our nervous systems will just,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. And then can you imagine the kind of creativity that could arise? Could you
Yeah.
imagine the kind of art that could be produced, the kind of music, the kind of joy and fun and new things?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it makes me think of like summer camp when you were a kid, like
Right?
think about the playfulness, the joy, the
Totally.
freedom of just being at summer camp in the summertime. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we can create environments like that where we can genuinely care for each other and find meaning and joy and purpose.
100%.
Let's do
100%.
it.
Let's do it. Okay,
Let's
so
do it.
we've yacked everyone's ears off. We have solved all the problems of the world as we do. Um, we have lots going on. Foundation programs coming up. It is sort of, if you want to really get into the meat of what we mean by holding space, we have an amazing program. We've been running it for like 8 years now. For
Yeah.
hundreds of people have come through this program. Um,
Seven
and we
different
are,
continents, like all over the
oh my
world. Yeah.
goodness. And so many people have told us how foundational it's been for their own work, how much it's beefed up their toolkits for being able to relate interpersonally in their work lives. Um, so please do check that out. We would love to have you join
Yeah.
us for this year. The Become a Grounded Guide program carries on. We have a few more modules for that coming up. You are welcome to join us at any time. We will restart the whole thing probably in February. And stay tuned for our new thing, which we will have more
Coming
information
soon.
about soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, oh wait, I'll say the next module for Grounded Guide is
Mm,
it's coming from a program we used to call Know Yourself, Free Yourself, and then for a while it was just Know Yourself, but it was a
yeah.
really well received program for people who want to learn more about themselves, but learn about themselves within systems, kind of what we're talking
Yes.
about, and
Yeah.
wake up to some of the reality of who you are so that you're more equipped to evolve into something new. So I think this is really kind of critical work to what we're talking about is like seeing ourselves anew in
Yeah.
in a new future. And so yeah, consider joining the next
Yeah.
module for that.
Yeah. We always sort of joke that it is our most self-helpy themed course, but the least self-helpy actual course.
Yeah, because all of our work is always rooted in this system thinking.
Always.
We never isolate like
No,
self-helpy work without looking at the big picture.
that's right. That's right. It's more than just baths and massages. So go and
Yeah.
check that out for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Awesome. Okay. Till next coffee chat. Thanks for hanging with us. Check out all of our other videos, our other chaotic galaxy brain videos on our YouTube channel. And Heather will put links to all the resources she mentioned, lots of good books that you can read. And none of them AI, as far as we know.
Exactly. All written by you.
All pre AI. All righty. Till next time.